Just imagine this for a second. Trillions of dollars suddenly homeless, an entire ocean of capital, wealth that was built up over generations, now a stateless refugee. For 100 years, there was one place, one ultimate sanctuary for the world's money. But in 2026, the walls of that fortress didn't just crack, they basically turned to dust, and that triggered the largest and quietest migration of capital in all of human history. The question isn't if your money is safe anymore, but where on Earth, or maybe even off it, it could possibly hide.
For generations, that wasn't just a saying. It was a core belief, almost like an article of faith in the financial world. It was a mantra whispered in boardrooms from New York all the way to Tokyo. Swiss banks, they weren't just secure. They were secrecy itself, a promise of privacy that was as solid and silent as the Alps. This was the bedrock of global wealth, a place where money could rest, grow, and most importantly, stay anonymous. It was a safe zone, far away from prying eyes.
And then, well, almost overnight, it just wasn't true anymore. That bedrock of faith didn't just get a crack in it. It was dynamited. A single new law didn't just challenge Swiss banking, it completely shattered it, sending this massive shockwave through the entire global financial system. The age of absolute Swiss secrecy was over. Done.
So what exactly happened? How did a system that seemed so permanent, so eternal, just suddenly crumble? This wasn't a classic bank run, with people lining up on the street in a panic. No, this was something way deeper. It was a total collapse of a paradigm, a fundamental rewriting of the rules of the game. And the thing that brought it all down? It has a name. Meet LETA, the Asset Transparency Law. Now, on the surface, that sounds kind of boring and bureaucratic, right? But its impact was like a financial earthquake. The law's main purpose: mandatory digital registration of the beneficial owner. What does that mean? Well, for the very first time, every single asset held in Switzerland had to be publicly and digitally tied to an actual person, a name, a face. Suddenly, there was nowhere left to hide. No more shadowy trusts, no more anonymous shell companies. The entire system of privacy was just gone. The world's greatest safe was turned into a glass box for everyone to see.
And here's the thing about capital. It hates the light. Privacy is its oxygen. So when the floodlights of LETA were switched on all across Switzerland, that money did the only thing it could do. It ran. And we're talking about trillions of dollars suddenly set loose and desperately searching for a new home, a new fortress, a new promise of silence. This massive exodus didn't just create a vacuum, it started to draw a completely new financial map for the 21st century.
So where did all that money go first? Well, the first big destination on that new map wasn't in Europe, and it wasn't in the Americas. It rose right out of the sand. While the whole world was watching Switzerland's epic fall, the United Arab Emirates was quietly and very deliberately building a vault of steel and law in the middle of the desert, Abu Dhabi. And you don't have to take my word for it. The proof is right here in the numbers. A staggering 245% increase in assets under management in a single year. That's not just a trend, that's a tidal wave of capital making landfall. Money fleeing the new transparency in Europe found a system purpose-built to protect it. But the real question is why? What makes Abu Dhabi so incredibly attractive? The secret to Abu Dhabi's success is this brilliant legal move. They use English common law. The Abu Dhabi Global Market, or ADGM, basically operates like a separate legal island inside the UAE. It has its own courts, its own judges, and its whole rulebook is based on the English system that international investors have known and trusted for centuries. So what you get is this perfect hybrid: the legal security and investor protections of the West, combined with that traditional Eastern respect for privacy and discretion. It's the old Swiss model, just reborn and upgraded for a new century. But not all of that money went to the desert. The other major place that benefited from all this, well, it thinks about wealth in a completely different way. It doesn't just offer you a vault to hide stuff in. No, it offers a system. Welcome to Singapore, a city-state that acts less like a fortress and more like the world's most secure, high-tech, and disciplined financial processor. And this chart really gets to the heart of it all. It's a total split in philosophy. Abu Dhabi is selling privacy, discretion, that classic vault model we've been talking about. But Singapore? They're selling something else entirely: absolute discipline and radical security, all under an unbreakable rule of law. Their big innovation isn't a new legal system. It's a technological one that completely redefines what an asset even is. So how does Singapore's system work? Well, first, For years, they quietly built up this massive family office industry, becoming the go-to spot for managing huge family fortunes. But the real game changer is their mastery of tokenized physical assets. In Singapore, you can take any real-world asset, a skyscraper, a vault full of gold, a priceless painting, and you can turn it into a digital token on a blockchain secured by the government. This gives you perfect records and instant liquidity. But, and this is the key part, it's all under the incredibly strict, watchful eye of the Singaporean state. It's not a place to hide your money. It's the world's most sophisticated and secure machine for managing it.
All right, we've seen a steel vault in the desert and a digital processor in Asia. But what if the safest place for your money isn't a place at all? The most forward-thinking capital, the really paranoid money, isn't just crossing borders anymore. It's leaving the physical map entirely. It's ascending to a new place that exists beyond the reach of any single government.
This is the idea of a network state. And after what happened with LETA, it's not just a sci-fi theory anymore. Think of it like a country on the internet, a community of people scattered all over the globe who choose to join together under a shared set of digital laws, a common cryptocurrency, and a collective goal, all without needing any physical lands to call home. It's a country whose borders are made of code, not dirt.
And the way you invest in something like this is just as radical as the idea itself. First, your wealth gets broken down, fragmented into thousands, maybe millions of tiny encrypted digital pieces. Then, your ownership is made anonymous using advanced cryptography, cutting any clear link back to you. And finally, and this is the genius part, the assets aren't controlled by a banker or a lawyer. They're managed by autonomous smart contracts, basically self-running computer programs that manage the money based on rules that everyone agreed on beforehand. It is the ultimate invisible investment. And all of this leads to a really profound and maybe even a little chilling conclusion for this new financial era. Your citizenship, your identity, your security, your wealth, it all boils down to your private cryptographic key. Your allegiance isn't to a flag or a piece of land anymore. It's to the digital network you've chosen to join. And your security, well, it's just the strength of your password. So when you look back, it all becomes pretty clear. The collapse of Swiss banking wasn't really a disaster. It was a catalyst. It was the evolutionary pressure that forced money to get smarter, to get more agile, and to find new decentralized ways to survive. It was the moment that finance finally moved beyond the limits of geography and into a new borderless reality. So the huge question for the future isn't just about returns anymore. It's about resilience. As you think about protecting and growing wealth for the next 100 years, which fortress are you going to choose? Will it be the steel towers and legal certainty of Abu Dhabi, the strict state-backed digital discipline of Singapore, or the borderless, sovereign, and completely untested utopia of a network state? The old game is over, the new one has just begun. The next move is yours.